Hello and welcome to the Life and Fight of a podcast.
Podcast.
I'm joined as always with my co-host Simon Hive Price. How's it going, Si?
Yeah, good mate, good. Ready for cracking on? Yeah, let's get into it.
So we're joined, very, very special guest right now, Andrew Lonergan, who's a goalkeeper right now at Liverpool Football Club. How's it going, Andy?
Oh, good, mate. Oh, good. Thanks for having me.
So we're quickly talking off air then about a couple of clubs you've played for. So we'll start right at the beginning. Obviously, being from England, every boy growing up wants to be a footballer. You've got to live your dream. Let's talk about sort of your earliest memory and maybe like your boyhood clubs that you played for and juniors and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I'm from Preston, grew up in Preston, so they were my team. And to be honest, my memory's not great going back like that far. I just remember playing for school and that, and I went in nets once because I liked the gloves and the kit and that, and then that was it really. I played a couple of Sunday League seasons for a team called Fulwood Colts in Preston, Exton Villa, which is like near Chorley. And then I just got scouted for Preston, and then I've been there ever since. Well, I was there from the age of like probably about 9 or 10 till 28.
Nice.
So, double testimonial.
So obviously, you being around that area in Preston, it had the museum for a long, long time. That's sort of my earliest memory of Preston. And the joke is now that Preston's sort of my second home because UK Fighting Championship, which I run the MMA show, is based in Preston. So like the Guildhall and stuff like that. So I spend a lot of time there. Are you still from there or have you moved away now?
No, I live like just north of Preston. I've been in this house for probably 10 years. We did bought an old barn and converted it and what have you. So this is home. Do you know what I mean? If I move away from here, I'll probably move to Lytham, which is about 10 minutes away. That's the only way. Do you know what I mean? I won't move. I've done a lot of travelling in my career as well, which isn't great, but this is home.
So I can imagine it's always nice to sort of come back home to having that like sort of little hub into it.
Yeah, definitely it is. I mean, there's times when I played for Fulham, signed, and obviously that's too far. I can't commute there. But so we all moved to London. But like I was playing for Wolves and I was travelling. It was killing me, mate. I was driving I didn't realise how far away it was, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought 100 odd miles, hour and a half, get your foot down. I was setting off at 5:30 in the morning, mate, to miss the traffic. It was killing me.
Wow.
That was the shittest performance I've ever had for one season fully. I was crap. I'm not making excuses, but that didn't help.
I was going to say, imagine that having an effect on the training ground and then sort of maybe having a knock-on effect on the actual performance as well.
Yeah, to be fair, once I got to training, I felt like I did well in training and I was in and out of the team and I didn't play well enough to stay in the team, to be honest. But it was just that thing, you're getting home at 5, 6 o'clock and you're thinking, I'm back up in 11 hours' time. I'm doing it all again. And it was, it wasn't easy, but, you learn, don't you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
So like you mentioned, you spent most of your early career at Preston for a long time, your boyhood club, where you live, where you grew up. You spent on loan a few times, and then this is how this sort of podcast came together, was you moved to Leeds, and Lee Nicholson, who was one of our guests and the MC for UK Fighting Championship. Yeah. What was your time at Leeds like? I know it's just over a year, so that club sort of, it's north compared to, like you're saying, it's the drive south are quite terrible. What was it like moving across the Leeds for that time?
Yeah, so the first time, when I left Preston the first time, I had a chance between signing for Everton in the Premier League and Leeds. And for me, Leeds is just a massive club, regardless of what division they're in. And, it would have been easier for me to sign for Everton, less pressure, I wouldn't have played, more money, closer to home. But, Leeds was just one of them, like, growing up, it was just there's a lot of Leeds fans around Preston as well. So I grew up around a lot of them. But now it's like, I love Leeds. I've been there twice. I went back. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't have gone back.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But the second time was a lot different than the first time. New owners. It felt a lot more stable. Even though we had a poor season, you could tell it was moving to where it is today.
Mm. Leeds, obviously, I'm a Man United fan, so it's always been sort of that hatred. I don't really carry that with football. I love football. generally anyway. And I've always sort of kept an eye on Leeds since them sort of went down, and maybe Nottingham Forest, where they're massive clubs. And it's weird to say that someone deserves to be a Premier League team, but them two definitely do the same sort of feeling like when Newcastle got relegated. They should be up there because of how big the stadium and the fan base is. Do you agree with stuff like that?
I do and I don't. I agree that certain clubs should be in the Prem in regards to fan base, the fans, but I also think you've got to earn the right to be in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Just because Leeds at the time when I was there, Ken Bates was in charge, he was getting 35,000 fans. Brilliant. Premiership fans, but the way the club was running, the players weren't Premiership players. So, yeah, you've got to look at it. But like Sunderland, for me, they're probably, instead of a Premier League club, but inside the club looks a shambles, doesn't it? They're nowhere near it. So, you know, it's you earn your right to be there.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like with managers right now, and not managers, so the owners and directors and people that are sort of controlling the clubs right now. You've seen it firsthand with Wigan. Wigan are in awful state right now, whereas in 2 weeks ago, you wouldn't even believe that this guy's going to try and put them in administration. They're might get a 12-point deduction. They were fighting, hopefully, for playoffs or close to, where now fighting to avoid relegation with a points deduction. I think there needs to be a bit more transparency when people do buy clubs, and I think a prime example is the Newcastle sale that might be or might not be going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's this fit and proper person's test apparently you've got to pass to buy clubs, but we're seeing it quite often. Like one of my old clubs, Bolton Wanderers, just do you know what I mean? They're in League Two now, and do you know what I mean? It's frightening. In Wigan, the Wigan thing was just, you know, I don't know the facts. I read the press and what have you, and it just looks, there's just something, how these people can buy clubs and risk, not relegation, but just everyone losing their jobs and things like that. It's disgusting, to be honest.
You said that also you enjoy being at Leeds, and you had the choice between Everton and Leeds. Straight after you just mentioned Bolton, you went to Bolton for 3 years, literally the season after they got relegated from the Premier League. What was the decision there? Did they come after you because they were coming into the Championship, they wanted a keeper that knew what the Championship was like and the run of games, or how did that happen?
Yeah, well, basically, when I signed for Leeds, I signed Simon Grayson, that really wanted me, and I felt like I did well for him. He got sacked. I think it was a bit unfair, and then Neil Warnock come in, and he was great with me, Warnock, but he always signs Paddy Kenny. So I pretty much knew. I thought he's bound to come here, Paddy. And Warnock was like, "Look, I'm going to bring Paddy. I want you to stay, but we've got, I think there were 4 offers, like 4 clubs have offered." And I knew Bolton, probably from around March time, was going to try and sign me. So I was like, "Look, this is perfect." I was living in near Leeds at the time, renting, splitting my time. You know, I had kids here and that, and Bolton's like 20 minutes from my house, and just come out of the Prem. I thought these are certainties to go back up, and it was best for everyone, really.
You mentioned obviously like he always brings in Paddy, and it's a bit like the Redknapp situation where no matter where he goes, he has a select sort of players that he always brings in, and that's sort of the joke between him. Like, I think if he weren't managing now, I think he would still sign all the retired players just because that's what he's comfortable with. I'm shocked that Warnock is actually still managing. He said he's going to retire like 1 million times anyway himself.
I know. But do you know what? A lot of people don't like him, but I buzzed off him. He made me laugh. He's a funny guy. He was ruthless, but he gets results. Like, he's gone to one of my other old teams, Middlesbrough, and he's probably going to keep them up.
Exactly.
Which, they were looking dead and buried, and it's not like he's not a magician. He's just got a really good way of dealing with players and getting results. It's pretty simple when you see what he does, but he's so effective. So there must be something more to it.
Yeah, I think he's one of them managers. I think there's probably 5 or 6 off the top of my head, which are sort of like stabilising managers, where if you're going down, you bring them in, just survive, and then you go again next season, whether that's keeping them or someone completely different. I know some people say like the Sam Allardyce say that he used to be sort of that area, but they're the sort of managers you do need sometimes. Sometimes good managers lose the dressing room, and you need someone in to stabilise it. Man United's been through that for years, where we've completely lost Mourinho, and the manager before them, like Moyes and stuff. After that, then you went from sort of Bolton. You was there for a few years. Fulham and Wolves. You mentioned Wolves where you weren't happy with your performances there, and then you went back to Leeds. How did that come about? Obviously, the team that you liked being there previously.
Yeah, that was weird. That 'cause I was leaving Wolves, and I knew I was going to leave Wolves. I had another year in my contract, but I was like, I need to be back up. Do you know what I mean? Near home. But I wasn't actually going to sign for Leeds. I think I was going to sign for another team. They were in the Prem actually at the time, and Victor Orta just kept ringing me on my way home one day, and I was like, flipping heck, I best answer it. Do you know what I mean? He left me a few messages, and I was like, do I really want to go back to Leeds? You know, because he said, don't go back and all that. But his sort of persistence and that, and next thing you know, I'm having a medical and I've signed for him. I really like him. Good guy, mate. Real good guy. I think you got quite a bit of stick. Do you know what I mean? Director of football and all that. I think got quite a bit of stick. But I'm sure the Leeds fans know that his heart is in it. He's from Spain, but he's just the biggest Leeds fan, and you know, like he's done really well so far, and I hope he continues. But he was the main reason, really. Obviously, pretty easy for me knowing the club and the players there and what have you. But no, you know, it was a difficult season again. Just changing the managers and that just don't help. But you know, they found the one.
3 that season? Was it about right? Did they have 2 or 3 that season?
Thomas Christensen. I'm sure someone took over for a few games. Can't remember who. And then Paul Eckingbottom coming.
That's it.
But like he got a bit of grief, Ecky, as well. But I think Victor signs the players and the manager basically just coaches them. So he come in and the window would shut, so he couldn't. He was working with players that weren't his. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then he got sacked before the next window, so it was a bit tough. But you know, Bielsa's there now, and it's done unbelievable.
He's a character as well.
Yeah. I know, mate. I know. I put them through the paces, but you know, the results, fingers crossed, going to come.
Yeah. Do you notice a difference to the training methods from club to club when you sort of get there, or does it tend to be sort of similar things across the board?
Yeah, it's depends what style of football you're playing. With the likes of Tony Pulis, what I've had Neil Warner, Neil Lennon to an extent, that was pretty much Route 1 football, just results based. And you get the foreign managers, and it's a lot more passing and playing out from the back and that. So it is a difficult transition. Especially for a lot of English lads. When a foreign manager comes in, they find it hard because training times, days off, things like that. It's completely different to what we're used to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it is still football, but it is very different, especially the foreign managers.
Oh, I think we've lost you there, mate.
No, I've got you. It's you, Simon. You've got bad signal as always. So you mentioned Middlesbrough, and then off air, I'll let Simon re-say it. He's got a mate that's a Rochdale fan. Simon, say it again.
Oh yeah. A mate of mine, when I mentioned that you were coming on, he absolutely was buzzing about it. And like we said, be off air. Wanted to thank you because you're saying you're the main reason that Rochdale stayed up. And he wanted to sort of ask, what was it like going from a team fighting relegation in Rochdale to then going into Liverpool now, where they've accomplished all this season?
Yeah. Basically, the Rochdale thing was I wasn't playing at Middlesbrough and the transfer window had closed. So really, the only people that can get moved are goalkeepers, emergency loan, and it's 7 days at a time. And I think we had a game and I was on the bench for Borough. And on the way to the game, someone texted me saying, do you want to go to Rochdale for 7 days? But I knew it was going to be a month or two because the keeper had an injury.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, 100%. And at the game, the goalie coach said, Rochdale want you? I said, yeah, I want to go. And he's like, what do you want to go there for? The bottom of the league. But my thing was, I hadn't played for a bit. I felt like I could help them, but I felt like they could help me. Do you know what I mean? If I got out there and performed like I knew I could at a level, to be honest, that I thought would be quite easy for me, put me in the shop window. And, it worked out well. We had a decent little run, even though I let about 9 goals in my first 3 games. I thought, what am I doing here? Do you know what I mean? They were just getting battered left, right and centre. But again, manager got sacked, new manager come in and everything changed. Not much as in the training and everything. It just sort of, you see it happen, don't you? A new manager comes in and results change, and it's like, wow. But, you know, it was quality, mate. It was really, like, great set of lads. You know, I'm delighted from, like, they stayed up, and I was delighted.
Oh, mega. I can imagine the Rochdale fans, like my mate has said, very grateful for your time there.
Well, yeah, they were singing on my last game. They were singing, like, sign on, Andy, sign on, and all. Just laughing, thinking, like, flipping it, because they obviously were paying a percentage of my wages. I didn't know what, and once when I went to sign the contract, I see what they're paying on my wages, and they said that makes you the highest paid player at this club.
Oh, wow.
And it was about, I don't know if it was 10% of my wage. So I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, wow. I didn't realise, not being sort of show off here, big-headed, but then I didn't realise the difference in budgets for, you know, League One Championship. It is, especially Rochdale.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Every penny counts. So I'm like, oh, heck. I'm glad I've done all right for you, because it would have been a waste of money.
It's quite funny that they were chanting sign on, because you did technically sign for Liverpool and a lot of their fans sign on. I had to put that in for Liverpool.
Oh, no way, mate.
Sorry, I had to. No, on a serious note, Preston's Rochdale's sort of my second team. I did sort of work experience at Scotland when I was about 16, so it's nearly 16 years ago now. I always followed them. They were in League Two for so long, they could never get out of League Two. They've got out, they did well, and now they seem to be slowly going back down, and I don't want that for them. I think they're a good League One team when they put their mind to it, and it's players like you that give them that chance.
You know what, mate? They're in a position where, like I said, the finances, they've got to get people, even like me at the time, I was sort of like, it was pretty much last chance saloon for me. If I'd have gone there and not performed, I'd have probably spent this season in League Two. Do you know what I mean? So people, they've either got to sign up and come in young kids, or people coming towards the end of the career that sort of got a point to prove. So it's a difficult one for them. They're not going to get the best players, the ready-made players. They've got to work with they've got to take chances on players, and, you know, if them players pay off, happy days.
So when... Go on, Simon, tell her.
I'll say it reminds me, like, do you know the first year when Class 92 were working with Salford City? I was doing a work placement with them, and they had quite a few players that were like that. They had an ex-Bolton keeper who came, quite a young lad.
Lynchy?
Yeah, it was, yeah. And I think it was the season that he broke his arm. It was like a really, really bad injury. Yeah. And you could see the difference when the new managers came in, and like there's a few of the young players that they had coming through, you could sort of see they were taking a chance on them. But then, fortunately, it paid off for them that season, and they seem to be doing pretty well from there.
Well, yeah, mate. They've gone from, you know what I mean, they're an established league club now, but, you know, down to the player as well. If someone's taking a chance on you, you've got to give it your all. If you don't, you know what I mean? So it works both ways. The club have got to take a chance, but you've got to take it as well.
Yeah.
You're in a position now, so the beginning of last season, you've been approached by Liverpool. They've just won the Champions League. They're on a massive run. They've literally missed out on the Premier League by the skin of their teeth, like probably one of the best title races that there's ever been. And that's a United fan saying that about City and Liverpool. And I can't even argue with it. Them two are probably the greatest clubs I've seen in the Premier League, the way they play and the players around them. You get the call from Liverpool saying they want to sign you. You sort of know your place because Alisson's such a top keeper. But to still be under him and under Jurgen Klopp and that team, what sort of goes through your head? You've got that decision previously between sort of Everton and Leeds. Was there another offer on the table, or was it this and you just jumped at it?
Well, previously when I've had the chance to, like when I was at Preston especially, quite a lot of Premier League interest, but Preston were like pricing me out a move, do you know what I mean? So I never got a chance. Obviously the Everton thing, that was the only chance really. But no, with this one, I just thought I was out of contract, and I'd had quite a few offers from obviously lesser clubs in Liverpool. But I just thought to myself, you know, you hear like on the grapevine, such and such a club wants a third choice keeper, English keeper to meet the homegrown quota. I was like, do you know what? I'll just take a chance and wait and see what happens. And they called me basically to come training with them in America. I played a game against Seville in Boston. I think there was like 40,000 people there.
Wow.
And it was just like, I think someone said after me, your last game, he was playing for Rochdale against Scunthorpe in front of 2,000 people. Okay. In America for Liverpool with Virgil van Dijk in front of me. So yeah, it was mad. And then obviously Alisson got injured first game of the season, and I signed the contract the next day for 12 months.
Wow. So I always keep an eye around this time of the season to see what free agents are coming up, because they always do like a team of the free agents at the minute, sort of like David Silva and stuff. And I was sort of keeping an eye on where you worked and who was going to interview at some point. Your contract runs out the end of this month. Have you heard what's sort of next for you?
We're just waiting, really. Like, we've had, I'm in dialogue with a goalkeeper coach at Liverpool, and it's probably not for me to say, but at the moment I'm just waiting to find out from obviously Liverpool. And then if I stay, happy days. If I don't, I've had a great year. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them where I've got an open mind and I sort of know what's going on. They've explained to me, so I'm just going to hold fire and see what happens.
Let's touch on the season as a whole and being a part of that squad under Klopp. Just explain what it's like to be under sort of a genius like Klopp. Like you, when he speaks, you cannot help but listen. And for what he's done in his career, and he's still young, and what he did in Germany and stuff, and now he's come to Liverpool. What's it like being under him?
Oh, it's brilliant, mate. Like when you say when he talks, everyone listens. When he walks into the room, everyone, you just feel that presence. Do you know what I mean? Even if he's walking from, if he's coming that door and you're facing that way, you can just tell. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. He's what he's done the last 2 seasons is just. You couldn't. No one would have dreamt it. You know what I mean? You think if you're going to win the league, it's probably by 3 points. You know what I mean? Like City last season by a point. But to do what we've done now is, it's up there with the best team. Could be the best team the Premier League's ever seen.
Yeah. There's always an argument. I put a post out when you finally got the nod for the Premier League when City were beat by Chelsea, saying that over the last 2 seasons, I think it's probably the greatest team I've ever seen. And a lot of my family are City fans, and they were arguing, saying, no, because we won the treble last year, they only won the Champions League. And I wasn't really looking at it on accolades and trophies. I was looking at like style of football, how consistent they were. And you can argue City the 2 seasons prior to this one, 198 points. They could be the greatest, but I feel like it's between City and Liverpool. I don't think United fans will always say United treble or United 09 and 010 were brilliant. But for me, City and Liverpool, I would wipe the floor with them teams of 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's hard though, isn't it? Because it's a different, obviously I'm going to say Liverpool are the best team, but it's hard to, like, in the fight game as well, it's hard to say, like, would Anderson Silva from 2008 beat X now? Do you know what I mean? It's like, It's completely different. The game's changed. Like, the teams in the United treble team in this era, how would they get on? Would they have enough pace? Would they have enough? Do you know what I mean? It's just, you don't know, mate. You don't know. But for me, the way Liverpool play, the relentless, like, obviously people see scoring goals and blitzing teams, but the way they work hard and get the ball back and they just suffocate the opposition. It's just, they've been murdered to play against.
The thing that they've got all the last sort of 2 or 3 years is that championship mentality where they don't settle for your 1-0s. They go and kill games off, which a lot for a long time even City weren't doing, and they're definitely not doing now, and Liverpool weren't doing it. We started to struggle doing until sort of since we've come back from the break. United's been on paper the best that they've been for a long time, and on paper for the league anyway, until the other night. So let's talk about a bit like the COVID situation and how it affected football. And there was all talk that the league could get completely null and void, and what Liverpool did. And there were so many people loving it. Liverpool are not going to win the league. And I thought it would have been a travesty if they took the league away from you guys after what you did. You were so far in front, and other leagues have stopped by goal difference or a point, and they've given them the champions. What was sort of going through your head as a player, and what was Klopp saying and the team around yourself? Was it a low mood or was it a positive mood?
Obviously, I think the last game was Bournemouth at home. I think we won that one, and then obviously the lockdown kicked in. But through like the Zoom chats that we had as a squad and what have you, the gaffer was always saying he was pretty confident the season would finish. He was very confident, so I never really had any doubt. But then again, if it had been points per game, or I don't think they can ever null and void a season when it's 75% through. with that much of a lead. If we'd have played 3 games and we was 1 point clear, then yeah, fair enough. But I think obviously we don't have to worry about that now because it's continuing and we're the champions.
Definitely. So we'll start now with the reason why we've got you on the podcast, because Lee Nicholson said you're a massive MMA fan, you're a massive UFC fan. Let's talk about how you got into this as a sport. What sort of piqued your interest and what made you become a follower?
Do you know what? I can't actually remember what the actual first thing where I got into it. It was probably when Tough come on the telly. Do you remember that?
Oh wow! Was that the Griffin and Bonner series?
I think it was the next one when Michael Bisping and Paul Kelly and them were in it.
Yeah.
So like, you know,
I believe it.
Season 3 maybe.
Yeah. With Ross Poynton and
yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that. So I just remember like just watching that on maybe ESPN or whatever it was, Setanta Sports or something like that.
I think back then it was on Bravo. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, just you know when you're just up one night and it's like, when would that have been? I'm sure my daughter, my eldest would have been a baby, so I was probably up one night feeding or what have you, and it come on. I'm like, love the fights, but I love it was like Big Brother, innit? Do you know what I mean? I loved it, and from then, that was just me. I went to UFC 98 in Vegas. That was my first one I've been to when Machida knocks out Rashad Evans.
Oh wow!
And the night after, seen Rashad Evans in the nightclub, didn't I? And just give him the unlucky mate and pat on the back. Do you know what I mean? And then, and then from then, that was it from then. And I went for a period of being proper into it. Recently, I've been a bit off it, especially with BT putting them on pay-per-views. You know, the John Jones fights. It's pissed me off a lot. You're paying 20 odd quid a month anyway for BT Extra.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, do you know what I mean? So, no, I love it. I try and get to as many as is possible, but a lot of the time, obviously, we're still playing on a Sunday in the UFC's in England. On a Saturday night, you're in hotels, you can't get to it. But I see Bisping, Anderson Silva at the O2.
Yeah.
I went to one in, I think it was Birmingham. Was it Birmingham? Who fought?
Has it been a Paul Daly card?
No, he went on it. It was Brad Pickett and Barrow. Was it Barrow?
I'm trying to think what it when they were in there.
It was Mark Munoz and Chris Lieben main event.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Did something happen with his ear or something like that in that fight? Lieben's ear?
I don't think so, mate. But I think it was that Barrow sparred Brad Pickett clean out. It was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? There was a couple of decent scraps.
Yeah, Alves and Pape Abida. Yeah, I remember this one. Cyril and Peros Etim and Filato and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember this card. So, as a fight fan, what do you feel like you look for the most? Is it just fights in general? You just like anything can happen at any minute, or do you like a certain style?
No, well, I used to love boxing when I was growing up. I used to watch like Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, Steve Collins, and then I just found boxing. Once I found UFC, MMA. I say MMA, it's mainly UFC. I watch a bit of Bellator and that, but I found with boxing that a lot of people were clinching and it was pretty slow. And then I see the UFC and I'm like, well, if you clinch, you'll just throw knees at you.
Yeah. So
it was just non-stop action. But, you know, like I speak to a friend of mine today and he was like, oh, it was crap the other night, wasn't it, the fights? And I'm like, well, it depends. Like, he said he's boring, Usman. And I'm like, yeah, but I respect that wrestling because if you can't beat it, learn it, yeah.
I thought I've had a lot of similar criticisms from mates of mine about the same fight, and I'm like, if you're watching it as a casual fight fan, you kind of miss the intricacies.
Yeah.
And sort of like as somebody who's into sport and can sort of respect the time that's gone into developing the skill set, you sort of look at it from a different angle. Yeah,
definitely. That's one thing as well that really got me into it. The discipline and dedication. People think, oh, they call it cage fight. He's a cage fighter. He must be nuts. And I'm like, well, I'm sure there's something they've got something extra to do it, but the dedication and the talent, what they put themselves through, that gets my respect. Even if you went in the cage and fought 100 times and lost 100 fights, to get in the balls and where you've got to put yourself to get to that stage, I think just deserves the ultimate respect.
I agree. I've promoted a lot of fighters throughout the years where they're completely different spectrums, and there's ones that you just think, yeah, he's just a fighter way, and then you've got the ones where they're so intelligent and yeah, they love the sport, but they could literally do anything at the drop of a hat. And it's probably them that you've got to be more aware of, because they will study things down to a T. And even if they win the fight, if they get caught with a hook or they get taken down, that annoys them more than anything. And they go back to the drawing board and like, right, let's pick this up again. And I think that's sort of the new breed, sort of like, we probably started watching it on a similar time, Tough 3, from the sounds of it. From then, sort of mid-2000s to maybe 2010 to now, the breed and the generation is unreal. We've got pure MMA fighters now. You've not got wrestlers, you've not got jiu-jitsu guys. They are bred to be all round. Have you sort of noticed a difference from the time you watched them go into America and back in England and stuff?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I think now everyone's an athlete. Like, I think, well, yeah, everyone isn't. They're like super athletes. Whereas back in the day, you know, you get. I used to buzz off Roy Nelson. Me, remember the heavyweight?
Yeah.
I just used to buzz off him because he just used to get like they're hitting him with a baseball bat and then he's boom, all ran right and they're out. But you look at him.
His celebration afterwards where he's just rubbing his foot.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, you've won me over, mate.
Do you know what I mean? I know the heavyweights is a few heavyweights, but you know, most of the guys, you look at them and you're like, yeah, look at him. He's a specimen and an athlete. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think now in America, I think like, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts and what have you, but they're saying that once the money starts coming to UFC, people turn down NFL, basketball and what have you, and you'll see a lot more. They think the standard of athlete will go up even higher, which is frightening to think.
Yeah, imagine if John Jones had his brothers join him, because they're even bigger than him. And the basketball and NFL players, where he's a specimen where he could have gone in any sport himself. So it just shows he's probably the greatest of all time. I've said this on plenty of podcasts. The guy's a dick, but he is the greatest of all time. You cannot argue with that. Is there anyone that sticks out right now that you enjoy watching, that maybe as an athlete, or even someone that makes you laugh, like you probably get into him behind?
Yeah. Well, mate, for me, John Jones is the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be a bit of a dick, but I think like, no, I don't think he's a dick. I buzz off him, to be fair. I know he's done some bad things, but I forget that. I just like seeing how little things like when he walks to the octagon and stuff. I just love seeing how calm, and it's like he knows he's going to win.
You can tell he's the kind of athlete as well that if he'll study his own tapes to try and find his own mistakes, so then he comes back the next fight with less mistakes again.
Yeah, I think for him, the only thing that's going to stop him is the lack of competition. And I think his guard might slip, you know, fighting, you know, who's he going to fight next? If he fights DC again, will he give it? He's beaten twice. Will he put the work in? Do you know what I mean? I think that's the only thing that could stop him.
Yeah, I feel like when he fought Gustafsson, I think he did that in that fight, and then when they came back for the rematch, he just did even better. Yeah. The Dominic Reyes recently, he struggled against him. I think if it was a rematch, I think he would figure a few things out. But Reyes could be the next big thing. There's you've probably seen it from the weekend that the Czech Republic guy, Jiří Pavlova, I can't pronounce his name, that beat Ozdemir. He could cause Jones trouble. He's one of the best fighters outside the UFC. Now he's in the UFC. You're probably right. He probably will be his own worst enemy, where he's probably a bit lackadaisical. He's mentioned heavyweight and Francis Ngannou, but wants more money. But if he's not going to get more money, he'll just stay in like heavyweight division. And I feel like he might get a bit bored. Yeah,
that's what I think. That's what I think with him. I think he, you know, if he's not challenging him, if he's like the Gustafsson, that first fight was unreal. I thought he's a real deal, Gustafsson, and he is. But then you see the rematch and his looks, and obviously seen where he needed to improve. And he said then he was out on the gear and that before the first fight and not training and what have you. He still finds a way to win. And then, do you know what I mean? The next one, it was just like Gustafsson shouldn't have even been in the octagon with him. He lit him up, didn't he? That's how good he is.
Yeah, Gustafsson's a big dude as well. I bumped into him in a Nando's in Nottingham 2012. And I remember thinking, because literally Brad Pickett and me had a similar sponsor at the time through my events. And I was speaking to him, and he's obviously a bit smaller than me, 5'7", 5'8" or something. And then Gustafsson walks in after him. I'm just like, wow, that is like a 6 division difference right there. And then so you got John Jones next to him that makes him look kind of small, the way he sort of physically looks, the biggest wingspan in the UFC. It's crazy because he was sort of the new breed of athletes we've been talking about. Is there anyone that you're keeping an eye on right now that you think could supersede, maybe not him talent-wise, but the sort of the athletic-wise or even talent-wise?
Off the top of my head, not in that division. Do you know what I'm a massive fan of? I'm not saying talent-wise, but Darren Till. I love Darren Till.
Yeah.
I love Darren Till. I've met him. I got him tickets to a Liverpool game through, Adam Catterall, who does the Fight Disciples and all. I've known Adam a long time, so I got him tickets, and he come, and I was chatting to him. It was like 3 weeks before his fight with Gastelum. And I'm like, just chatting in the players' lounge. I'm like, this guy's off his head. He was cracking me up, mate. He was cracking me up. And I'm like, he's a big guy. To say he fought at, 170?
I don't know how he made that weight.
I looked at him and I went like, and he said to me like, he goes, I'll send you some signed gloves. He hasn't yet anyway. But he says like, have you ever been hit with one of them? Like, one of them little 4-ounce gloves. And I went, no. He said, it hurts. I said, fucking bet it does. Do you know what I mean? But no, I'm trying to think. Do you know what?
Like Adesanya, aren't you, coming through? And was it the Zabit?
There's a couple of them Russians, isn't there? Like, do you know what I mean? The guy, how do you pronounce his name? Who beat Aldo the other day? Jan?
Oh, Petr Yan.
Jan. I wasn't sure, mate, because I looked before the fight. I think I was messaging you one, and I didn't fancy him because I thought people had written Aldo off.
Yeah.
But he's like 33. He ain't past it. He's got a lot of miles on the clock, hasn't he? So this guy, I'm like, this could be like a big step up. Do you know what I mean? But he looked good. He looked tough. Really tough.
The thing with the Aldo fight, and I put it on like my Facebook status, that I feel like if he utilised his leg kicks, which he did earlier on, I feel like he could nullify Petr in his style. But he doesn't. He does a couple and then doesn't follow him up. Where if you look like when he beat like Chad Mendes all them years ago, when he was like one powerful kick and then before his foot was even down, it was another one, and that's how he caught him with the knee. Where's that Aldo gone? Is it his confidence? Is it the way he's training? Because I don't think he's past it. But I feel like if he doesn't change the way he fights, I feel like this will be his career for the rest of his life now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not an expert, me, but I feel like if you're throwing a lot of leg kicks, is that not easy to be taken down? He might be frightened of being on his back. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? If he can have a boxing match, he's got a chance, hasn't he?
Yeah, sure.
I guess though, with his leg kicks, he can chop someone down, and it takes away their ability to take him down as well. Especially with like these kicks he's got. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of them anyway.
Yeah, mate. Mate. Honestly, I couldn't. Like when I've been to the live events, I'm sat near the front, and you hear a leg kick, you're like, wow. I don't know how you take it, mate. Straight into the thigh. It's like, Jesus.
It's like the Uriah Faber image always comes to my head when he's the next day on crutches and his legs are literally like black and blue.
Yeah. Frightening, mate. Frightening. They're just animals, aren't they?
Yeah.
Animals, mate.
You mentioned Darren Till then. I was in Dubai in February supporting one of my mates fighting Aaron Aber, and his management, MTK, were putting an event out there, Pro Bellum, and obviously that's part of his coaching network, and he was there. Sound guy, you can tell his character is just one of them where you're just in awe sometimes, but dead down to earth. But he is fighting next week. He's the main event in Abu Dhabi. He seems to be out in that sort of United Arab Emirates a lot. How do you see him sort of going with someone like the former champion? I didn't, on paper, feel like he would beat Gastelum because of how the fighter Gastelum is, and coming off 2 tough fights against Woodley and Masvidal. Now he's facing the former champion. How do you feel like that one will go, Andrew?
I'll tell you what, fair play to him, mate. He's not messing around, is he? He's going for the big dogs right away. Like, that's what I buzz off. He's sort of like, he's got a chance. I mean, I'm guessing Whittaker's the favourite, but Darren Till's a handy guy, man, and like he's no fear, has he? Do you know what I mean? He steps up, he fights Woodley, he steps up to fight Gastelum. Do you know what I mean? Fighting him in your first fight, stepping up. I mean, I think he said afterwards, didn't he was nervous, you know what I mean? Like going out and that. But, you know, he put on a good performance, and, you know, I'll be nervous waiting for that fight on Saturday, me. I get nervous watching the British lads. When Bisping used to fight, I used to be nervous all day.
Yeah.
I'd be playing football in the afternoon. I'd be more nervous about him fighting at night. Jesus Christ, what's up with me? I just got that.
I completely know where you're coming from. When Bisping won the title, which no one on paper thought he was going to beat Rocco because he had been beaten. It was probably like, 5:30 in the morning. It was like a warm night. I think it was like a June time. I had the window wide open. And then I literally screamed the house down and feel like, yes, he's fucking won it. And the whole street was like, what's going on? I was buzzing because I didn't expect it. And I've met Bisping more than a few times with the events that I've done. And he's down to earth, he's humble. But he's from my area, Northwest. It was something special that night.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I thought he had. Like Luke Rockhold's another one that you look at, and like you look at him and you think, what an athlete! He's the real deal. But then sometimes he's probably got more skills than Bisping, probably a better puncher. But sometimes, like your heart and your bollocks, mate, they get you through it, and he proved it there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, not saying he's not a top five, but Luke Rockhold, I think, had everything to be a top, to be the champion for a while. But maybe something's missing.
Mentally there. Him and Weidman just seemed to plummet at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they punched each other a bit too hard.
Yeah.
And then they just sort of went down. But you find that a lot with fighters. We were discussing on the podcast last week about the Rosedammer Eunice and how mentally she struggled in the past with things that have gone in her life and in the fight game as well. And Saturday, she looked like a brand new fighter, someone that was completely open. Is that something you watch out for in the football game? Do you find that a mental thing can be a loss for you as well?
Yeah, I think like football, obviously at the Premier League at the top level, it's exceptional. But I think the lower down the leagues you go, there's a lot of talented players. I'd say the talent pools, you know what I mean? They're quite similar. Every player is quite similar, but I think the ones that make the next step, they have the consistency and they have the right attitude, but mentally, I think it gets overlooked quite a lot. Well, it gets over. Do you know what I mean? If you're not in the right frame of mind, you've got no chance. And obviously, with a fight game, it's a lot more dangerous. So if you're not 100% on it, you're in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, I think a football maybe comparison is maybe someone like Ravel Morrison. He had all the talent in the world, but his just mindset wasn't there. Obviously, his career is not technically over right now, but he had everything going for him. Even people like Paul Pogba and people around him were saying like he could be better than me. But it just shows sometimes you maybe need the right support behind you, or you need to be a bit more confident. I was watching the SAS thing, the one from last year when Wayne Bridge was on it, and he was talking about since he's retired, he struggled quite quickly, and he's not that confident. He's used to being led by a captain or a manager, and they were trying to put him in difficult situations. Do you find that yourself being a footballer that you sometimes need to pick yourself up if someone's not there around you, or do you find that difficult?
No, like the difference in football, if you're playing and you're not feeling 100% and on it, you can sort of hide. Maybe not as a goalkeeper, but you can hide behind your team if your team are winning. If you're fighting, there's no one to hide behind. Do you know what I mean? But with anything, with lack of confidence in anything, it affects your performance. But then again, you can't have that deluded confidence. You can't say, I'm the hardest man in the world. You can't convince yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird one. But like with a fight the other night, I think when people take a loss, the way they come, like Bisping coming back like that just shows just determination and mental strength for me. Because what did he have, a 2-week fight camp?
Yeah, something like that.
Do you know what I mean? So really, that shows me that a lot of it is more in here and in here than people think.
Oh, definitely. So, like with your career as well, like have you adopted any sort of like mental, like psychological strategies to sort of prepare for games or get through training and things like that?
not really. Like, not obviously, like when you make a mistake. When I was young, I make a mistake, and I was like, being from Preston as well. I normally, back in the day, Saturday night we'd go out and have a drink. If you win, celebrate. If you lose, drown your sorrows. But if you had a bad game, I tend to stay out of the town for a week, 2 weeks till I got back on form. Whereas now, if I was to make a mistake, it pissed me off. But I'd move on quickly. Do you know what I mean? Move on quickly. And for me, like reading social media, you just get nothing out of it. Do you know what I mean? No matter, like, for example, you're top of the game, you're still gonna have people giving you shit. If you play shit, you know you played shit. You don't need other people to tell you. So my mentality is just, it's always been the same. Just work your bollocks off every day, and that way you're best prepared for what's happening at the weekend. That's how I found. If I work hard every day of the week and I don't play well on a Saturday, sometimes it's just luck. Do you know what I mean? But if you train shit all week and you play shit on Saturday, it's your own fault.
Yeah,
that's pretty simple. Like, that's what I think.
And it sort of helps build. Like, you can see it builds that mental resilience within yourself. And like you're saying, staying off social media and stuff can definitely help develop that as well.
Yeah, I mean, social media is a big thing now. It's like, I think you've got to be on it. You've got to sort of try and promote yourself in the right way. I've no problem with that, but reading comments and getting involved in, spats with people, I think for any athlete, it's just the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just post what you do. Don't look at the comments. Don't look at anything. And people sometimes call you rude for not replying to them, but to keep yourself sane, don't look at them.
Yeah.
Don't look at them. You know what I mean?
I completely agree with that. And growing up in Preston, like you said, maybe going out for a night out or anything like that, you probably got to gear yourself up mentally to go out on a night out in Preston anyway, because it can get a bit messy around there.
Hey, it's all right, mate. It's only messy when your events come, isn't it?
Well,
Carnage. Don't go. I'm only joking.
So, the thing, especially with going to goalkeeper, is you've got to have that thick skin, because you could literally have going a 10-game clean sheet run, and then you you won't let in a goal, but that's what they say, a goal goes past you, or a shot goes past you to make a goal, and you get literally the fans just give it at you more than anyone. Whereas a striker could go on a dry run, and they don't really seem to get the same sort of torment that you do on social media. Do you feel like that's created a thick skin for you as well?
Probably, yeah. But I mean, nowadays, like, I think it's only going to get worse. Goalkeepers, every single goal that goes in, the people on the telly, on Twitter, everything seems to be, oh, the goalkeeper should have done better. Right, well, you can say that about everything.
Yeah.
Or the goalkeeper could have done better. Yeah, he could, but he didn't. Do you know what I mean? It's a fucking good goal. But I feel like now it's just the overanalyzing of goalkeepers, especially the English lads in this country. As soon as you're England's number one, I think they just try and just knock you back off it. I think Dean Henderson's going to be the next England number one, and he's a top keeper and what have you. But as soon as he makes a mistake, they'll be trying to get him out and get the next one in. So it's tough for him.
What was it? My mind's gone blank and I hate when it does this. The ITV pundit, the one that used to introduce it, he's been gone a few years now. But every time England came on, he was always negative. We could win 10-0 and he would always be negative. It'll come to me later. And they got rid of him and I was so happy. But you are right with England. Pickford did great in the World Cup, but he's not doing good for Everton, so they lay into him. But sometimes you can play just as good, and you maybe need to have the good defenders around you to prop you up a little bit. It's not just on you.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. There's things like that. What he's done, I think there's better goalkeepers out there than him, don't get me wrong. But at the moment, I think he's England's number one. The way he's played for England, he doesn't deserve to be dropped. His Everton form and his England form are two completely different things. But not really too fussed, to be honest.
Yeah, it was Adrian Childs that I meant, sorry.
Yeah.
Constantly negative. It wound me up because I love watching England. No matter, I see a lot of people, I've stopped watching England, the crap, they don't ever win anything. It's like, well, when you go into a World Cup, there's 31 teams that have to lose.
I know,
averages.
Yeah.
And
God, mate. It gets me when they say, they bottled it again. And I think they haven't bottled it. They've been beat by a better team. Do you know what I mean?
It annoyed me.
Like, go into it, one's got to come out of the loser, aren't they?
Yeah, but yeah.
we came fourth 2 years ago. We came third out of the new Nations League, which is, I think, is a great format to stop the boring friendly tournament. So it keeps us something to watch. Obviously, this year we missed out on the Euros. We'll get that next year. Maybe that's a question then. If the Euros were this year and it went ahead, who do you feel like would have been in net? Do you think it would have been Henderson, Pickford, or Pope? Because they seem to be the front three right now.
I think it'd have been Jordan Pickford still if he was fit. I think Henderson maybe it's a year too early. Not saying he's not. I think he's top. He is top, and everyone I speak to who knows him, train with him, say he's brilliant. Nick Pope's brilliant keeper, but I don't think Nick Pope fits the style of play that. Well, that's what they're saying. He doesn't fit the style of play that Southgate wants to play. Playing out from the back. But he's playing in a Burnley team, much like Dean Henderson. Their teams don't play out from the back. They kick the long ball. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Everton under Ancelotti are playing a bit more football, and that's what Pickford's good at, and that's how England plays. So I think Jordan would have been the number one.
Awesome. So we'll touch on the fights for this weekend for when this goes out. Who do you? I don't know if you've seen much in the news regarding the main event. It's I don't know if it's still going ahead or not. The flyweight title between Figueiredo and Benavidez. Apparently Figueiredo on Friday failed a COVID test, but they feel like it was a false negative. So he's getting retest, but they've not cancelled it yet. Obviously, Figueiredo missed weight in February, but knocked out Benavidez, so the title's still vacant. Andrew, how do you see this going? Do you see a repeat or redemption?
Do you know what, mate? I'm not too tuned in on these little guys. I'm not. I didn't even know that fight was happening. Yeah, I can't give it. I'm sorry, mate.
It's cool.
The little guys, I tend to just. The pace they set's unbelievable, but I just think they just dance around each other a bit too much. Do you know what I mean?
You're probably right. I think that you may be the people like maybe Cejudo or
Cejudo, yeah.
They're the guys that probably go for it, but yeah, I agree. A lot of them do, especially when they put them in the 30-foot cages. Like, yeah. God's sake, put them in the 22 footers where I think they did it on in the Apex for them fights. There was like 60% finishes, and I thought, yes, the smaller cages are better.
Honestly, like we said before, though, I like the tactical ones, but the little guys, I just think most of the time there's no chances of knockout or anything here. It's just going to be a decision win because they're so fit. They're not carrying no weight. They're so fit. They can just go for days, can't they?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think as well with some of them, you kind of have to watch it in slow motion to find out actually what's going on.
Because they're throwing that, yeah. They are, aren't they, mate? That's why sometimes the commentators, like I'm watching, I'm thinking he's landed one there, and Joe Rogan will be like, "Oh, it's a great shot from the other one." I'm like, I didn't even see that. I mean, I'm like, shit. But yeah, I prefer the 145s and above, really, to be honest.
No, that's a fair point.
So I killed your question.
We've got more, don't you worry.
In a couple of weeks, we've got the rematch with Stipe and DC. Like, for me, that's one that I'm really looking forward to, considering like how both of the previous fights have gone. Yeah. Where do you see this one going then?
I don't know, because Daniel Cormier is one of them that no matter how well he does, you look at him and you think, he ain't going to last. But he can manhandle people.
Yeah.
I just think that maybe he's at the point where it is the end. He'd be what would it be, 41? Do you reckon?
41 in March, yeah.
You know what I mean? And Stipe is a beast as well. Like the way he dealt with Ngannou was frightening, wasn't it?
Mm.
I just think Stipe wins that one myself.
Okay. I completely understand where you're coming from because he's taught for the last 2 years that once he hits 40, he's retiring.
He's done, yeah.
He was sort of holding up both. Not holding up both. He was propping up both divisions. John Jones is out. Stipe was injured. Obviously, he was light heavyweight champion. Then Stipe came back. I think if he would have retained that, he would have retired. Double champ would have been perfect. Now he wants that sort of rematch, but as Dana says, once one foot is out the door and you're sort of semi-retired or you're thinking about it, you're mentally not there. I'm always one of them people. EC is one of my favourite fighters because he's so humble and how good he is. He's sort of one of them fighters or idols that most fighters should look up to, or most fans anyway. They don't. They prefer the John Jones or the Conor McGregor style, which is fine. It's whoever you enjoy watching. But I hope he sort of wins it, rides into the sunset. But on the flip side, maybe with my promoter hat on, I would rather Stipe win it, the division's not hold up, because if Stipe loses and then wins the title back in the next fight, is he a true champion? Like he's only been given the belt because someone else is retired.
Yeah.
I would rather Stipe get the belt and then carry on that division.
Yeah, it's a toss of a coin, really, isn't it? I'm really looking forward to it, mate, and I'm looking forward to, the next Ngannou fight, because he's just got dynamite in his hands, hasn't he?
Yeah, like his story as well is amazing. Like, come from like escape. Well, he got to France, didn't he, and started fighting, and like he couldn't write it,
mate. But I think, like, to say who's the best in that division, I think it's all about the styles. I think DC would flatten Ngannou.
Yeah,
I think he would. I think he'd just take him down, hold him, keep him against the cage,
burn him out.
Whereas, do you know what I mean? Anyone else, I think Ngannou just will blitz him. It's mad, isn't it? It's like, what do they say? Styles make fights. That's what they say, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a weird one, because when Ngannou won recently against Rosenstruck and how he finished him, and then DC was on commentary and then he got that look of his face where it's like, he could be next. Like, if DC wins or loses next, just retire. Don't go anywhere near Ngannou. It's the worst decision you'll ever make. But then Stipe's got to think, win or lose, because he's going to be in the title picture either way, because DC most likely will retire. He's got Ngannou next, and I wouldn't know. I'd rather, I've said it, some people both disagree, I'd rather take one on the chin from Mike Tyson than Ngannou.
Yeah, well, I won't like to take one off any of them, Mike, you know what I mean? But I think, like DC, you know what I mean? When that last fight was on and he was like, who wants to fight that guy? I don't want to fight him. But him being like the champion and the athlete he is, he's probably thinking, I'd love to fight him.
Yeah.
I feel like that's his mindset. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to fight him. I bet whether he'll carry on after this, I don't know, but it'll be a good fight anyway.
Yeah, I think the way I see that going is, I think I can see DC winning it just to avenge his loss and then hanging it up after that. Like, for me, DC fan, I'd love that to happen, but Stipe is a very dangerous opponent, and it's going to be a tough one to call, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. When's that on?
A couple of weeks. 15th of August.
August 15th, apologies.
August 15th, right.
Something like that, anyway, 252. Let's talk about some of the heavy guys, and that's not this weekend, coming up the weekend after. More the heavy guys that you'll probably remember from, like we said about Gustafsson earlier. He's moved up to heavyweight to face Fabricio Verdum. Obviously, former heavyweight champion against light heavyweight contender. Have you got any thoughts on just even them two being put together?
It'll be interesting to see what weight he comes in at Gustafsson, won't it? Do you know what I mean? Because Verdum's a big bloke, and I like Verdum, mate. I like him. I like him from who did he when he done? Was it Fedor's first loss?
Yeah. In strike.
Yeah, and I think he's very underrated, mate. Verdum. I know he's a big name in it, but he's very underrated. But once again, I think Gustafsson, I don't know, maybe if he can keep on the outside and use his, he might not have a reach advantage, might he? There.
Do
you know what I mean? But you think his kicks and his jab and that maybe keep him away.
It's a weird
I think if he gets tied up with him, it's game over.
Yeah, I agree. It's a weird at the minute because you see a lot of these light heavyweights sort of stepping up. You've got obviously Gustafsson, John Jones has talked about it. OSP recently went against Ben Rothwell and was horrific. If Fabricio, obviously he's had 2 years off, he's recently just returned and won that wasn't the best performance. If he returned sort of his championship mentality, he probably walked through 99% of the heavyweight division. It's if Gustafsson's, like you say, that the time and the speed, the range, if he can keep him at a distance so he doesn't get taken down in that jiu-jitsu mentality, I think Gustafsson could be an upset. It's a light heavyweight taking on a heavyweight, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the good thing about it. We don't know what's going to happen. That's why I think we love watching it.
I think one thing that might be a difference here will be the strength of Verdum compared to Gustafsson, because Verdum's used to the heavyweights. He's had the experience and the mileage there, whereas Gustafsson, you might spar with heavyweights, but it's different under the lights. Like someone gets hold of you, and you can feel the difference in the strength.
Yeah. I mean, who's it? What's the geezer called? The heavyweight that he trains with, Latifi, is it?
Latifi, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's an heavy little barrel, isn't he? If he gets on top of him, that's a good bit of practice for him. But like I say, you're not like, imagine you never know until you get out there and feel what we'd call like game day. You know, training, you can only get so far, and then when the adrenaline kicks in and that, you can step it up, can't you? So
here's a question. You're a professional footballer, and I've always heard the rumours about this depending on when kickoff is for you, whether it's a dinner time, a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, a 7 o'clock. Do you literally have like pasta first thing in the morning if you've got a 12 o'clock kickoff?
It's on the menu, like, yeah. If it's a 12 o'clock kickoff, I'll just have breakfast, really. Scrambled egg on toast or something. I hate eating chicken and salmon and all that shit first thing in the morning. I can't do it.
Fair enough.
Can't do it, mate. Horrible.
Because with Simon being a coach, a brown belt, and a PT, like the amount of stuff I see him eat, and I'm thinking I couldn't eat that first thing in the morning or any time in the day. Is there certain regiments that sort of any club you've been to, mainly Liverpool now being one of the biggest clubs in the world, are they more strict with you guys? Did they keep an eye on the weight or your pace or anything like that?
Do you know what? Liverpool's got nutrition, everything you can think of. The nutritionist, she's unreal. Like throughout lockdown, we've been every day we order, we get on the app, we get a menu and we order food, and it's ready made and brought to our houses for the next day. So at 9 o'clock every morning, I actually just took them out because I was coming on here, but I had about 5 boxes about that of rubbish that I had to chuck out of food. Yeah, the weight thing, obviously you get weighed, you've got to put your weights in every day, but we're pretty chilled out about it actually. Other clubs, they're obsessed with your body fats and your weights. And
Pep Guardiola for one of them.
Is he?
Yeah.
Honestly, they're obsessed. There's clubs where they come in and they say straight away, every player has to be under 10% body fat. It's like, what are you basing this on?
Yeah.
Like, I'm 36. Right? I'll give you an example. I was at Leeds and we started really well. Then we lost a couple of games. The next thing, there's a list of body weights. I think I've always been around 91, 92 kilograms. I'm 6'4", so about right.
Facing John Jones next.
Hey,
Facing John Jones next.
Mate, I'm built like him. And on the thing, I have 3 weeks. No one told me. It just said I have 3 weeks to get down to my target weight of 82 kilos. I have to lose 10k in 3 weeks, or else they were fining me. And I went, where have you got this from? Like,
chopping your leg off.
You've just picked a number and said that's what I need to be. You've not researched my history of my weight, blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? I'm like 10k in 3 weeks. No chance.
You'd think that they've got there is like would understand that the body fat percentage, like some players prefer to be a little bit heavier where they can draw upon that stored fat as energy, like as it gets later in the game.
Yeah, mate, it's crazy because there was another goalkeeper there who's now at Burnley, who was we were the same height, 194 centimetres or something. He was 20 and I was 35, and his target weight was 86 kilograms and mine was 83. I'm like, so how's this? Do you know what I mean? How's this working out? But that pissed people off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were having our dinner and the nutritionist was coming around taking stuff off your plate, and I'm just like, I'm going to eat some chocolate when I get home, mate, so you can take all you want.
We mentioned about Klopp before, and when he walks into a room, you can feel it. What's it like being with the sort of the players of the calibre of like your Salah and your Manes and your Firmino and like Alisson and stuff, someone that you're keeping on edge all the time, keeping it at the best in quality you can be? What's it like being sort of, and Van Dijk, like you mentioned before in the America game, what's it like being around them athletes right now? They're still probably might not even be at the highest point of their career yet. Yeah,
mate, they're frightening because when I was talking about hard work before, this is just reiterated to me. These boys never stop. Never stop. They're always in the gym, stretching, watching what they eat, doing everything right. There's never a slip up. And like, for me to say, I wish I'd have sort of been in this environment when I was 20, 21, to see how professional they are. And do you know what I mean? We have team nights out and 98% of the squad don't touch alcohol. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in other squads, if you didn't have a drink, you get hammered, you get ridiculed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess it's like a change of the times, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think everyone's a lot more health conscious now, and sort of the culture around sport in general's changed.
Yeah, and everyone's got a phone. So if you see someone in a bar that's a fan, takes a picture of your social media that I mentioned before, that's horrendous. That's so, when you're trying to, like, I've been around fighters that I've knew for years that are now at the top of their game, where even I feel rude wanting to chat to them, even though I know them, because they probably get harassed all the time. I just think, give them the space. Don't. Obviously, there's a time and a place, but if that makes sense.
Yeah, mate. Of course, that's another thing. These lads, they don't have normal lives. They can't. I can nip to the shop and not really get bothered, but these guys can't do these things. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the way they handle it, and the rewards are there obviously, but that doesn't. Money. I don't believe money makes you happy. Do you know what I mean? There's other things in life that are more important, and the way they deal with it, these lads, is unbelievable. And I say to my other mates who are in the lower leagues, like, what do you like? I'm like, they don't drink. But what do you mean they don't drink? I'm like, that's why they're at the top, because they do everything right all the time. Do you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree. Do you find that being, obviously, we mentioned it earlier on about the sort of the generation of fighters, maybe when you were in your 20s, which would have been when you started seeing the UFC and stuff, and obviously the way it's grown now, it's a similar sort of aspect with football. Science is very different now. Player mentality, coaching is very different. You sort of see what sort of Mourinho did in that around that period, mid-2000s, sort of 2010, the clubs that he did. He was sort of the chosen one. He was the guy. Yeah. And then from there, you've got Klopp, Pep, and all them. They seem to have took it up to another complete degree. What do you feel like would be next? Do you feel like there's another evolution, or do you feel like this will be sort of like the plateau for a while, but a good plateau?
I think there'll be something new. I think it's always evolving. Everything, every sport. I just think, like, there's so much information out there and so many knowledgeable people. I think when I first started playing, and you say when you first started getting into fighting, the information wasn't available to us. The internet wasn't. It was about it, but you couldn't get it on your phones and what have you. But I think now there's so many knowledgeable people, and you've got to take time to listen and learn, and people keep learning and people keep improving.
Of course. A couple of questions here. So back to MMA side, is throughout the years, is there any fights that stick out to you where that's been like one of your favourite fights of all time, or a couple of fights?
Well, one of the best fights I watched was Dan Henderson. I can't remember who it was. Who did Dan Henderson fight? I'm sure it was like a 5-rounder.
Let me Google, because he's probably had a few wars.
I'm proper, mate. Proper one. That was one of the first ones I was like, wow.
Is it, obviously, if it's a 5-rounder, maybe towards the end of it? Was it?
No, it won't have been a 5-rounder then, no, because it wouldn't have been a title fight. Actually, it might have been Bisping Henderson too.
In Manchester?
Yeah, that one. That was a belting fight, mate.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Did you go to it, or did you stay up for it?
No, because it was like, what time was it on? It was on about 4 a.m, wasn't it? It's like, even though it's in England.
Yeah, similar to what they do in Abu Dhabi now. So the fighters, the main event is on, I think it's like 8 a.m. Abu Dhabi time, but like 5 a.m. to us, which is mental. If you remember that weekend, the rugby final was on at Old Trafford that day, and I went shopping at dinner time. People were hammered then for the rugby. Never mind, 14 hours later, I heard rumours of people asleep in the MAN Arena. I knew, as a fight fan, I wanted to be there. It's my sport in my eyes. I wanted to be there. But I knew it would have been through not the worst fans, but the fans I didn't want to be around. I thought,
what you mean.
In bed, safe, and just enjoy the fight.
Yeah, that was. I remember that was a really good fight. I'm trying to think. There's been so many good ones. Like obviously, one that sticks out is when McGregor knocked out Aldo. That was like, that was one of them where you just, like you said, when Bisping, I was like, oh my God, like up in the arms thinking, what has happened? Do you know what? One of my favourite fights was Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva.
Which one first?
I presume it's the first.
First one. Just because one of my mates, we used to buzz off Chael and just his banter and his talk, and he sort of convinced everyone he could do it, with his talk. And like 4.5 rounds in, we're like that. Oh my God, he's done it. And then next thing, bang, he's tapped out. We're like, what? That
was amazing for 4 rounds in that fight. And the sad thing about it is, if he would have got the W for then, he tested positive anyway, which would have been heartbreaking because he got that far. But he's infamous. He's the guy that wrote the script for McGregor in my eyes.
Definitely. He was some of the stuff he used to come out with, but like people talk about him and they're like, he's the nicest bloke ever. It's just a complete act. So
I've heard this as well.
Fair play to him.
Me and Simon watch a lot of on, I don't know if you've got UFC Fight Pass, but Submission Underground, which he runs sort of like submission grappling in the cage. He's literally, at the minute because of COVID, he's a sole commentator and the sole advertiser for it. And a bit like you said about Klopp before, he walks into a room or you listen to him, he's just one of the people that you just propel towards. You could just listen to him for hours.
Yeah. I used to just spend just going through YouTube watching his stuff, and I used to listen to I listen to loads of fighting podcasts because I'm driving in the car a lot or traveling a lot. Do you know what I mean? And I used to always listen to his, but I've not got on it for a bit, to be honest. But I don't know if he's still doing it. But he is a character, mate, and good fighter. But like you say, mate, he was like took the drugs, didn't he? He's like, he didn't give a shit, did he?
Nah.
Do you know what I mean? Didn't give a shit, and he put on a right performance. I was like, come on, mate, you've got it.
It was about the time where the TRT was prominent, so the testosterone replacement therapy, and Hendo, Sonin, all them were sort of, it was sort of like a grey area. No one knew if it was banned, it wasn't banned, it was banned after the fact. It was very confusing.
Yeah,
but
it was.
It wasn't as bad as Pride back in the day, where you had these beasts that were juiced to the gills, and like basically like Godzilla versus like Hulk, the Incredible Hulk.
So the Pride contract though was like, we won't test you, so it's kind of like just an invitation to take it.
I heard that, mate. There'll be no test. It said on the contract you won't be drugs tested. Flipping heck. Who was out there, mate? Flipping heck. Mark Coleman, wasn't it?
Yes.
Was it him? Mark Coleman. Jesus Christ.
Nogueira brothers were there. I think Arlovski was there for quite a while, wasn't he?
Arlovski, Overeem, like
that was it. Overeem, mate.
Literally, if you've seen Overeem when he first started, he was like a light heavyweight version of Stefan Struve, small and skinny, and then he just went huge.
Yeah.
Ubereem.
Yeah. But then when obviously all this new drug testing come in, the difference between how he looked to how he looks now, oh my God, he must have been powering it in.
Oh,
yeah. One person they say has never been tested but has fought in the UFC under USADA is obviously Brock Lesnar, which he's a specimen. He's someone that if he got hold of you, you'd be scared what would happen because of his grappling skills, but like he couldn't take a shot.
No, I loved Brock Lesnar. I used to like wrestling when I was younger.
I'm still a massive fan, mate.
I am a bit, to be fair. I don't watch it as much.
I've got like pops of the wrestlers and stuff.
My mate, right, one of my best mates, David Wheat, have you heard of him? Played for Bolton, Middlesbrough. My God, the biggest wrestling fan you have ever come across. He's got them, them figures.
Yeah.
He's got thousands of them, mate.
Wow.
Every time you go around, right, doorbell goes, parcel, his missus going, what have you bought? And you're like, fucking AJ Styles, whatever. And I'm like, wow. So,
you're definitely a fan.
Mate, he loves it. He loves it. He said he had a chance of going to, well, not a chance, but a few years ago, I think Orlando City or someone, Orlando, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They wanted to sign him, or they were talking about signing him. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to the NXT Performance Center and become a wrestler. I'm like, what's wrong with you, mate? Do you know what I mean? You're 30. But he loves it. So the Brock Lesnar, mate, I used to love watching him. Like he fought Shane Carwin, didn't he? And
that fight was absolutely brilliant.
He got battered, didn't he? First round.
Yeah.
Battered.
I rewatched that about a week ago, and I still couldn't feel how the referee kept it going, how much he got destroyed in that fight. Lesnar is one of them people where he's a very, very, he doesn't look it, but he's a very, very clever man because the amount of money he gets. He played the UFC and Vince off each other so many times to get them more money. He's apparently paid now more in a year than he does for 4 or 5 fights in the UFC that he got paid, which is unreal. It's funny you say that about David. Luke Menzies, who was a rugby player, he's now in the WWE. He decided to drop all sports. He's in WWE, so maybe he could do it. You never know.
Yeah, but your mate's probably ripped up. Dave's a fat shit.
Luke Menzies is a beast. Like he is. He played for like Hull Kingston Rovers and stuff like that, and Salford Red Devils. He is an animal. It's funny because, like I say, the Performance Centre, I was due to go to WrestleMania this year, but until COVID, so that devastated me. I was supposed to go to NXT on my birthday. Everything went wrong. But it's funny that you're a wrestling fan as well. That's quite cool. So back to the MMA side, is there any English fighters apart from Darren Till that you follow? Like, it could be someone up and coming or anyone that you keep an eye on?
You know what? I think he's got a decent shot at it as well. Leon Edwards. I think he could. I think, like, I don't know how much sort of a push he's getting, because he's quite. I was speaking to Darren Till about him, and I said, like, he doesn't seem to have that confidence on the mic type thing, do you know, like, but his fighting's doing all the talking. But I think something like, he's not a McGregor, is he? He's not going to go on the mic and give shit. But I think he could be. I think he could do some real damage. Like, I'm talking win a belt.
I don't know if you've seen it this week about the manager of Khabib and Gilbert Burns, so Ali Abdelaziz. He sort of banished Ariel Helwani because Ariel was on his podcast with DC, basically saying that he thinks that Rocky Edwards should get the next title shot for what he's done previously. I know he's been off for a year and stuff like that, but he should be ahead of Gilbert Burns. And because what Gilbert's done in lockdown, which is crazy, it would have been his 3rd fight last weekend if he didn't fail his COVID. It's a great shout with Leon. He's a great fighter. But I think the UFC is still looking for that all-round character. They say they don't want to be like the wrestling side of the WWE, but they want the whole package. Someone that can speak on the mic and fight like Conor.
Yeah, I think, mate, it's a business, isn't it? They want to sell tickets, like, do you know what I mean? And I think whoever sells the most tickets, more, you know what I mean? They all say, don't they, like, all the fighters, McGregor only got his spot because he was, you know, giving it on the mic, but he was knocking people out. But I think Leon Edwards, Darren Till, I'll tell you who went missing, who I really liked back in the day, John Hathaway.
Remember him? Yeah, John Hathaway was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know where he went. I don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah, I think he's retired now. He was down south. But yeah, that's a great shout.
He was a good fighter, isn't he, mate? Like, I think he was an ex-rugby guy, so he's like wrestling and all that looked proper up to scratch. Do you know what I mean? Because people say, obviously in England, there's no wrestling programme, is there, through the schools and what have you?
No.
So I think we've got a bit of a. It's hard for a minute. It's hard for the English lads to be world class at wrestling.
Yeah, I feel like here's a great point. Now, so you came up in football and the way it's sort of pushed in England. Do you feel like if they put that much concentration and that much support in MMA or wrestling or anything like that, do you feel that that's a positive thing, or do you not think that'll ever happen?
I think it is a positive thing, but I don't think it'll ever happen. I think people just think it's violent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and that. I think you should be. If my 2 girls, obviously they're not really interested in it, but if I had a little lad, I'd be putting him there when he's 4 or 5 years of age, just to get 1, self-defense, and 2, discipline, and just, do you know what I mean? I think it's brilliant. I think to be the way them lads carry themselves as well, they're no danger to anyone, but if it kicks off, they can look after themselves, can't they? Do you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree with that. I feel like, especially when we've seen more recently with the police and the Black Lives Matter thing, there should be people in certain position and power should be taught a certain way, and all the way down to kids, the fact that they should be taught. It shouldn't be taught to be an offensive thing. It should be taught just to build confidence, discipline, and then you've got a bit about you where you know exactly how to handle yourself if something was to go wrong. If you could go back in time and start training or playing football at a young age, now that you've been through your career, would you change any of it, or have you been trained in the past?
No, I wouldn't change it, mate, because I'm under no illusion that like I've been very lucky to do what I do. I have trained a bit of Muay Thai with a guy called Johnny Roy. He's from Manchester, but he has a gym in Preston. He does a lot with Hatton in the boxing world. He was a kickboxer, so I trained with him in the off season a few times. Really enjoyed it. I tried a bit of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but I thought I need to do this when I'm not playing footy because I've had a few knee injuries, and I thought I can't risk it.
Of course,
I can't risk it, mate. But it's something that I really, really want to get into when I'm not playing football.
Yeah, and Simon's the same. We started when we were in our late teens, me and Simon, but the people that do my events, especially the grappling side, some of them don't start until the 40, 45, 50.
Right.
And they do quite well in it, and they enjoy it, and it sort of gives them that sort of new lease of life. And like I mentioned earlier about Wayne Bridge and he struggled. Once you do get to retirement, for you, it'll be a sort of a massive stop whenever that is in a few years. You probably want somewhere else to find, and maybe the love of the sport will make you transition to something like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, definitely. That's the plan. I think you've got to have. I love playing golf. Golf's my thing, but something to keep you physically fit, and do you know what I mean? Just a bit of routine. If it's a class 3 times a week at 7 o'clock, it gives you a focus. Do you know what I mean? To get to, and you know, I think boxing and that, you know, you risk of injury, but I think in jiu-jitsu it's quite a control. If you're with the right people, it's quite controlled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you're with the wrong person, you could be in trouble. But I think you just got to pick your people, really.
Yeah, I guess with that, it's down to sort of like the coaching culture of the, just like any sport, the coaching culture of the place you go to, and then knowing your training partners and almost sort of trusting that if you're inexperienced, trusting that their experience is going to help them not sort of throw you around and cause any injury.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. It's something that, I love watching all the grappling and that and trying to learn it. I think I could do rear naked choke. That's about it.
It's a starting point. So just before we wrap up then, you mentioned that you listen to podcasts in the fight game, sort of keep up and stuff. And I'm saying when I travel to work, it sticks something on that you can sort of zone out to. Is there any sort of podcast that you do like listening to? Apart from ours, obviously.
Obviously. Do you know what? I should say the Fight Disciples, because it's my mates, but I never really listen to that. I love Joe Rogan, mate. I know it's not just all MMA, but he does have an MMA show like once a week. I love listening to anything he does. I love the fight when the kid. They get slaughtered, don't they?
Yeah.
Because Brendan Schaub talks a lot of shit, but it's decent banter. I like that.
That show where he's interviews fighters at the food truck.
Food Truck Diaries. I watch a bit on YouTube. I'm just getting my things up here. I've got the Michael Bisping podcast, Joe Rogan, Below the Belt, and the Dock House, which sometimes has a few fighters on. Paul Kelly was on it last time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just like listening to the stories and that, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when I do listen to a podcast, it's more like aerial because it's more the build-up of fights because I study them a lot, or I've got friends that are fighting, especially like the last couple of weeks, the amount of Brits that I've worked with before. I like to sort of see who he has on. I love T-Fat, K and Brendan, Joe. It's funny because Simon's the same. About 10, 11 years ago, me and Simon couldn't stand Joe Rogan. Like, he was the most annoying guy in the world. Couldn't stand his commentary. Thought he was a know-it-all. And then 3 or 4 was in, I just thought, he's the god of MMA. He's one of them people,
Yeah.
He shoots his shit, don't give a fuck, speaks the truth, but studies. Like, if he gets a guest on, like, say, Elon Musk or someone like that, he knows what he's talking about, and I love that.
Mate, 100%. I think the effort, he doesn't just ask shit questions, and he knows everything. He's obviously done his research. And I bought a Tesla because of that Elon Musk on that, you know.
Really?
Seriously. The first time I listened to him, I'm like, I'm going to look into these.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate, it's mad. But have you ever heard Joey Diaz on Joe Rogan?
Yeah, he's I love listening to him.
Mate, he's the funniest man in the world. He remembers every date and time that has happened from when he was about 5 years old. He kills me.
Yeah. Rain Man there.
I buzz off him, mate. I buzz off him.
I'll literally be like, when I'm going to bed, I'll put like his stories on. Like I'll just be like, find a Joey Diaz highlight reel. And I just lay there listening to him, just chuckling away until I drift off.
Mate, that's what I do. My missus goes mad. What are you laughing at? Joe Rogan on.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I'll stick a podcast on, stick it to like a 30-minute timer, so I'm just listening to that as I fall asleep. And I'm there, like, I'll start laughing, or I'll go, like, say it's an informative podcast. I go, yeah, I agree. My missus is like, who are you talking to? I'm just like, I'm speaking to my podcast.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, I don't know if you've got on the best tip. Do you know the Apple AirPods?
All right.
Mate, because like I listen to it for every night. She thinks I'm a weirdo. I'll put one in so I can lie on my side and have the other in there. If I fancy turning over, just whip that one out and put that one in.
Very clever. I like that idea.
No wires, mate. No mess. Yeah.
But, dude, it's been a pleasure. There's so much more we could easily talk about, like get you on in the future. Maybe what's going on in the rest of your career and stuff, and the fight game and stuff. That'll be amazing to get all of. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors we normally say to the fighters? Anyone you want to push?
Nah, mate. I'll thank you two for having me on, mate. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you for coming on, mate.
It's class, mate. It's class. Yeah, keep in touch, lads.
Yeah, definitely. Enjoy. Go on.
Do us a favour, mate. I'll follow Davey Wheater on Instagram and give him a shout, because he'll buzz off it. He'll get you on his Instagram and just talk wrestling to you. Honestly, mate. So.
Good luck for the rest of the season. Obviously, there's only a couple of games left for you now. Liverpool have been amazing, so well of being part of that squad, and even being around players like that is amazing. Thank you for your time, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
Brilliant, lads. Thanks very much. Nice one. See you in a bit. See you, boys.